9 times out of 10, people are anxious about it too. You are confident, you are cool, you are worth having around. When you're approaching somebody, you want them to feel safe. What's up, everybody? Let's talk about making friends in New York City during a pandemic. These tips can apply to you if you've been living in New York City for a very long time, if you've literally just moved here and don't know anybody and want to make friends, and they can also apply to you before you've even moved here. I know some of you have expressed that you're just afraid of not knowing anybody when you get here, and that's completely understandable. So hopefully some of these tips can help lessen that anxiety a little bit. So by the end of this video, you're not only going to know where to meet people, you're going to know how to do it in that moment. This video is mainly just about making connections in general, mainly friendships, but it can apply if you're looking for a new boo, I'll leave that up to you. So then, what are your options for meeting people if you haven't moved here yet? It's a little bit unconventional, but use YouTube comments. And I thought of this tip because in some of my other videos, people have been finding roommates in my YouTube comments. And I thought that was really freaking cool. Leave it in the comments. Leave your name, leave when you're gonna be here, open up with a fact about yourself, are you going to college here? You don't have to tell your whole life story, but just kind of invite people in a little bit. So 100% you have my permission to use my YouTube comments to make those connections. But while that can be a really cool way to make connections, just do your best to not be annoying about it, There is a difference between self-promotion and just genuinely wanting to make a connection. And I know a good portion of my subscriber base does not live in New York yet and is planning on it. Just having all you guys in one spot in general is going to be a great place to connect with each other. Swap some social media info, find out what you have in common, and get on with it. Make those friends. But hey, don't be afraid to use that block button, So this next tip is if you're already in the city, and it is to volunteer. This is my favorite way to meet people because the people that you meet when you're volunteering, they are genuinely such good people. And not only that, the stakes are super low. So nobody's really there to make friends. I started volunteering during the pandemic because I wanted to help my community and I wanted to just be around people because I was feeling really isolated. But if you don't end up making a connection, there's zero pressure because you know that you were there just to help your community anyways. Volunteering is a selfless act. It's a donation of your time to help people out, and it's not really about you. But this is also great because you're in the middle of doing activities that can act as really good conversation starters because you already have something in common with the other person. And it makes it great if the conversation is actually awkward or you actually don't like the person you're talking to because you can just go back to what you're doing because you are there to help your community. So my favorite place to volunteer in the city is City Harvest. The other one I like is Invisible Hands, but also New York Cares. I think it's the most popular place you can volunteer in the city. It just requires a small orientation, much like City Harvest. The next one is a platform called Meetup, and I'm pretty sure Meetup is for any major city in general, but I'll pull up the website. It's a platform to meet new people, learn new things, find support, get out of your comfort zone, and pursue your passions together. But during COVID, most of these events are virtual, so it does make it a bit harder to connect, and I'm honestly less likely to sign up for something virtually. It's just too much for my brain, But there are some socially distant ones. Look at the amount of hobbies you can choose from. It's literally every interest I could ever think of. There's really options for everybody. And the great thing is that it's a wonderful place to approach people because people are literally there to make connections. I mean, the website is called Meetup and it's completely free. To sign up is completely free. Some of the events do cost a few dollars. But again, it's up to you on what you want to spend if you want to spend anything. And like volunteering, it has an activity involved, so it's less awkward if you don't connect. You can just go right back into doing the thing. What's up, everybody? Editing Chelsea here. I cannot believe I forgot one of the best ways to meet people in the city, and it's on your phone, so it's super COVID friendly. If you've heard of Bumble, or if you have a Bumble, you probably have used it for dating, but there is a BFF option for you to swipe for best friends, and there's also a business option if you want to find a business partner to collaborate with. But you can flip back between whatever setting you want, and all you got to do is just go to your settings, select it, and then you can just start swiping for a best friend. I think that's super, super cool. So definitely check that out. And YouTube comments, volunteering, and Meetup are great options, but it doesn't take out of consideration just going about your day-to-day life and being able to meet people that way. But that one can be a little bit harder because you don't really know who's open to being approached. So it's critical that you're able to read when someone actually wants to be approached, which is what we're going into next. I read a book a while back called The Game of Desire by Shan Boodram. And yes, this is a dating book, but so many of the foundations of flirting are the foundations of just making a connection in general. That doesn't have to be a romantic one. Shan Boodram is a certified sexologist, dating coach, and intimacy expert. So check out this book. I'll link it below. In the book, she interviewed another dating coach named JT Tran. And he said something that really stuck with me. If someone approaches you, it's because they've gotten confident in that skill. It's like riding a bicycle. But just because someone can ride a bike doesn't mean that they'll make a great boyfriend, or in this case, just friend. So if you're out and the person you're attracted to doesn't approach you, that may not be because they're not interested. It's probably because they're terrified of rejection, just like you. I think starting off with that quote just makes it feel a little bit more human, that everybody is nervous and people can either fake confidence really well, or they've had a lot of practice and they're genuinely confident. So when you're approaching someone, read the room, right? Depending on the situation, people probably don't want to be approached. Like if it's late night on the subway, not a good time. If it's dark outside and someone has their headphones in, not a good time. If they're like engaged in a conversation with another person, it's probably not a good time. If they're walking really fast, not a good time to chase after somebody you don't even know. When you're approaching somebody, you want them to feel safe. And this could even apply to like meetups and volunteering. You want them to feel safe. And pandemic related, keep that 6 feet distance when approaching anybody at all. And make sure you're wearing a mask. I know those are my 2 boundaries. It's very important to respect people's personal space anyways. You want them to get the vibe that you care about their well-being, and that distance is a great way to start with that. But also safety-wise, do just a quick role reversal. If you were in their position, would you feel safe being approached? Just because you know that you're a good person, which I'm sure that you are, they don't know that. They don't know your intentions. It's impossible for them to read your mind. If you would feel unsafe being approached in that situation, don't do it. Some of what I'm saying, it does make me nervous too. I am an introvert at heart. So it can be really hard to get the courage to actually go up to somebody. And that's what I think a lot of people miss in videos like this, is how do you actually get from point A to point B to actually approach somebody? As we've established before, not everybody is confident, especially in a moment of pressure. I have a great tool for you. The easiest way to get over your fear of approaching people is to be confident that you have something incredible to offer. I mean, if affirmations are a part of your like daily ritual, you kind of understand. If you affirm to yourself things that you want as if you've already had them, it changes your confidence completely. Make a short list on things that you know you are good at. Don't spend a lot of time on this. Usually your first thought is your best thought. So she states in her book, pick 2 things that you're good at and repeat those over and over to yourself in your head or out loud, whatever you want, as you are approaching somebody else. Something that I would repeat to myself walking over to somebody is, I'm adventurous as fuck and I have really nice cheekbones. I'm not used to complimenting myself, but repeat those over and over as you approach somebody. See what happens. And the cool thing about all of this is, if you're worried about approaching people, there are people out there who are looking for the same thing. And then 9 times out of 10, people are anxious about it too. But consider the option that maybe people want to approach you. How can you be approachable? And it's all those things we talked about before. We're just not applying it to somebody else, we're applying it to you. I just want to reiterate to keep the expectations low. So if a connection does happen, then it's like great. But if they don't, then it's easier to pick yourself up and you're not like devastated from rejection. And even if you applied all the tips that I mentioned, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make a connection. But I challenge you to shift your mindset away from like, oh, then nobody likes me, to maybe you just dodged a bullet instead of wasting your time pursuing a connection that wasn't really there. The best friendships are the ones where people choose to be around each other because they like your presence. And not everybody's compatible, so it just takes a lot of hit or miss. You know, try to have fun with it. Do your best to be brave. Affirm to yourself that you are confident, you are cool, you are worth having around. You have a lot to offer. And sometimes it's easier than you think, and it really could end up working out for you. If this video was helpful for you, make sure to press that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And I have an entire playlist dedicated to New York City advice for those of you who are moving here and want to know about the current state of New York City and other things. Check out that playlist. I'll link it above and in the description. And if this was helpful, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that notification bell so you won't miss upcoming videos. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck, and I will see you in my next video.